All right. Name is Victor Gaskins. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I work for St. Leonard's Ministries. I am the program director of St. Leonard's House. My father was in the Air Force. So I grew up wanting to be in the Air Force like my father, be a pilot, because he was killed in the Air Force. And his friends would always come give me model planes and bring me books on the Air Force and airplanes. And so I grew up wanting to be an Air Force pilot. However, uh, my mother, who was big on education, so my mother made me an offer. She said, well, you either go to St. John's or you go to Chicago, stay with your aunt, and go to Hales. Did well at Hales. Kind of felt out of place for a while because I was from Washington, D.C., and mostly everybody was from Chicago. And so I was like the outsider. My mother always told me when you have friends, they should earn your friendship. You shouldn't just be friends with somebody because they say you're a friend. It took me to become an adult to really understand that. But at the time, I got involved with some people who, my choices, bad decisions, trying to honor the code, you don't tell on nobody, and I ended up going to prison. If I had to do it all over again, I would tell right away. And don't care if you call me a stool pigeon, a rat, or whatever. But I ended up going to prison. Uh, I was there 23 years. And a lot of people ask me, how could you go to prison that long and you don't come out, angry and bitter and, like a lot of other people thinking that the world owes you something. Well, for me, early on, I admitted my fault. I said that I was there because of decisions and choices I made. And that first day I walked into the prison and I looked up and saw the bars everywhere. So I made myself several promises. One, I wasn't going to let them drive me crazy. I wasn't going to let them make me angry at the world and bitter. That I wasn't going to let them break me, and I was going to leave a better man than when I came. The thing about me is that St. Leonard's is a fit for me because having done 23 years in prison and doing what I'm doing now and knowing other people who have been successful, it helps me motivate others to let them know that you have a choice. All you have to do is make the right decisions. I think for most people, especially the ones that I encounter at St. Leonard's, the choice is always hard. Why? Because the environment that they come up in, the rules are a little different. For example, if you have an individual who is from Inglewood, okay, a community in Chicago. Now, Inglewood is one of the worst parts of the city. I mean, very little jobs, mostly single parent homes, gangs, drugs, and when a person grows up in this environment, things that you and I might find bad choices, they see as good choices. They believe that if you sell drugs, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm getting money to feed myself and my family. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not making someone buy these drugs. Many of the guys that come to St. Leonard's say that they want to make better choices. They want to be able to understand why some of the choices they made in the past were bad. Everyone knows basic right and wrong, but Some people have to get a little clarity on that. Um, I remember a question in one of my psychology classes. The professor um, asked this question, and I've thought about it a lot over the years. The question was, is man inherently evil or inherently good? And many people answer it either way. But I've given it a lot of thought. And I feel that man is inherently good. Why? Because I don't think God would create anything evil. The evil part of man is learned. We teach people these things. You know, TV, the movies, music, you know, when they look and listen to these things and violence and death is so common, they become desensitized to it. So it doesn't matter. It's not important. And that's sad. We teach people these things. And unless we start teaching them something different, unless they really want to learn something different, we're going to continue to have the problems we have. So I try to motivate the guys to, you know, take a chance. I mean, you took a chance doing the things you was doing that kept ending you up in prison. Take a chance on doing something different that may change your life and give you all the things you wanted, but without taking the risk of going to prison or hurting someone. There's someone that's going to be there to help you. But you got to help yourself. You can't come out thinking the world owes me this, gimme, 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 gimme. No, you got to do some of the work yourself. But there are people to help you. And so if it's something you don't know, ask somebody. That's help. If it's something you need, ask somebody. I mean, the choices are, it's wintertime, the temperature's 10 degrees, you don't have a coat, you got a t-shirt. You don't have any money, you need a coat. How do you get the coat? Do you go out and rob somebody to get the money to get the coat? And now you don't have to worry about a coat because they're going to give you a free coat in the Department of Corrections. Or do you say, you know, where can I get a coat without breaking the law? Well, I can go to a church. They might be able to direct me somewhere, you know, where I can get a coat. Most of the churches I know have like a clothing thing where, oh, we have coats for you. But if you don't ask, what are you going to do? Stand outside freezing to death? You have to ask. And does that mean you're less of a man, less of a person? No. It's because that was something you had no control over. You know, you don't have no money. You may not have family that you can go to and say, I need a coat. So you have to go to someone else. Man has to know his limitations. And I know what my limitations are. And sometimes, believe me, a lot of people would be shocked to hear this, but I have to ask for help because I know what my limitations are. Most of the time, I'm going to try to do it myself, but I do know that, hey, if I keep bumping my head up against the wall, I'm going to have to ask somebody else. And if someone thinks less of me because I do that, that's their problem. Don't worry about what somebody else say about you, think about you. What do you think about yourself? But that is one of the biggest obstacles that we have to overcome at St. Leonard's. Confidence, self-esteem. Most of the people we serve, that's very low. because they've heard all their life they failures, you're no good, you're worthless, you're not going to amount to nothing, you'll never be successful at anything. And you hear it enough, you start to believe it. Just like people with certain nicknames. If you get the nickname dog, you're going to act like a dog. So I just try to get them to see themselves in a different way. We went to a school a few years ago, the Bad Kid School. It's like the school that they send students to who've been kicked out of other schools. This is like your last chance. It surprised me how many kids believed that going to prison was like going on a vacation to Disneyland. Oh, y'all got swimming pools and tennis courts and, you get free cable, and who told you all this? And that it's easy, that you can go to prison. You might go for a few years, but it's easy. It's like being on a vacation. But when they find out, it's not like being on a vacation. They like, I didn't know it was like that. That's not what they tell us. Well, they're not going to tell you the truth because they want to make themselves seem, yeah, I'm a real tough guy. I went to prison and it wasn't nothing to me. No, it's not like that. Tell me how you would feel if someone told you what you can wear, when you can wear it, what time to get up, what time to go to bed, when you going to eat, what you going to eat, and you have no choice in the matter. I had one guy, he went to prison for 20 years for gang murder. And at the time, he looked at the gang as being family. They were the only one that had his back. They took care of him. And doing what he did, that's what he owed them. They said do it, he did it. But after 20 years, he realized, what happened to my family? They didn't come visit him. They didn't send him no money. He was a forgotten person. And for them to hear this coming from him, telling them, you don't need to be involved in gangs because this can happen to you too, just like it happened to me. He said, I believed all the lies, and the lies cost me 20 years of my life when I could have did something completely different. My favorite saying, don't allow your past to define your future. That's what I tell them. What happened in the past has happened. You can't change it. If you believe in magic, you can go back in time and space and undo what you've done, but that's not going to happen. That's movies and fantasy. But you have to move on. You have to get over it. I tell guys that they're human beings. And as human beings, we all flawed individuals. Nobody perfect, only God is. And so if that's the case, we're going to make bad decisions, bad choices. Human nature. It's what we do afterwards. I think the most important part of reentry, restorative justice, is starting it today. And by that I mean, some people like to say, well, I'll wait until I get out to do this and do that. No, start on it today. You have to start inside. You have to start mending bridges, reestablishing relationships, forgiving yourself. Don't wait till you get out and say, now I can forgive myself. No, forgive yourself before you get out. That way, you're ready to deal with the obstacles that's going to come your way, because they're going to come. Once again, I'll say, those of you who are watching this video, take advantage of the opportunities that are out there for you, because there are many. You don't have to do the things that you've done in the past because you have a choice. That's one thing God has gifted all of us with, free will and to choose. Sometimes we're not going to make the best choices, but we got to learn to make the best of the choices we make.